got back, did a little bit. Now we hardy, puffy, tough, do-rag and Tim's. Kinda hard to get a job back out on the block.
Charge that to the game.
Young girl, she grew up in a rush. Had it bad, no doubt, she don't know who to trust. Every man she ever loved only wanna crush.
Charge that to the game.
But it's all gravy. Hey baby, shots get popped, the cops shut down the party. Jeans sag low, blow smoke out of Dutchess. We've got love for y'all, which y'all don't love us.
Welcome to the Exposed Under the Sun show. I'm your guest host, Calvin Colbert, for Miss Sharon Dumas, with my special guest, Mr. Hamilton, A.K. Ronnie Savora, and he's here today to talk about a subject for Black History Month. We feel that in Black history that should not only be talked about, but should also be felt and expressed. So Mr. Hamilton has created and written a song entitled Willie Lynch. So he is here today to discuss and talk about his song Willie Lynch and express how it is connected to our experience in Black history. So right now, let's take a listen to the song Willie Lynch.
Willie Lynch tried to separate me and my people with a whole lot of hate. My color, sex, status, religion, and age, distrust, fear, and envy, and a violent rage. Willie Lynch never felt no shame for making up a dirty mind game. Though his game took many away, it's Willie Lynch who is buried today.
I have a foolproof method.
Willie Lynch trying to divide us inch by inch. Fell in the hole, got kicked in the head. Now, oh, Willie Lynch, are you really dead?
Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have outlined.
Buses coming from all around. People walking on the Capitol ground. We bow our heads and begin to pray as the dark clouds roll away. We thank our God as the sun comes out. Feel so good, wanna dance and shout. Feel excitement all in the air. The brothers watching from everywhere. Ask our God, atone our soul, cleanse our lives and make us whole. Ask our God, atone our soul, cleanse our lives and make us whole. From Willie Lynch, trying to divide us inch by inch. Fell in the hole, he got kicked in the head. Now, oh, Willie Lynch, are you really? Tears of joy ran down our faces, hugging our brothers from different places. Oh, please, God, atone our soul, cleanse our lives, make us whole. Oh, please, God, atone our soul, cleanse our lives, and make us whole.
Also have your white servants and overseers distrust all black.
From Willie Lynch, trying to divide us inch by inch. Fell in the hole, he got kicked in the head. Now, oh, Willie Lynch, come on, come on.
Fear, distrust, and envy. Therefore, because of fear, envy, and distrust of one another, many of us as leaders, teachers, educators, pastors, and persons are still under the control mechanism of our former slave masters and their children. Now, in spite of all that, in spite of all that divisiveness, we responded to a call our business. Those who are young, those who are old, those who are scientific, those who know nothing of science, those who are religious, and those who are irreligious, those who are Christian, those who are Muslim, those who are Baptist, those who are Methodist, those who are Episcopalian, those of traditional African religions. We got them all here today. And why did we come? We came because we want to move to you're a Christian, that's a Muslim thing. You shouldn't come, you're too intelligent to follow hate. You shouldn't come, look at what they did. They excluded women, you see? They played all the cards. They pulled all the strings. Oh, but you better look again, Willie. There's a new black man in America today. A new black woman in America today.
To thank Expo Under the Sun and Ms. Valerie Lockhart for giving us this opportunity today to create an environment of communication with our community about the black experience. We talk about black history and Black History Month, but our history is every day. And there is ways that we express it because we live it. And that's why I'm glad to have you as my guest today,
Thank you.
because I think you have captured an expression of our feelings at a moment that can be described as black history. You know, Detroit and our community itself has a lot of black history moments to it, a lot of icons that represent our black history experience.
That's for
We
sure.
talk about first black mayors, Coleman Alexander Young for the city of Detroit, and Mr. Robert Blackwell for the city of Holland Park.
Yes.
Plenty history surrounds us. And I want to encourage all of you that are listening and watching today to encourage you to research the information so that you too can fully understand our experience. Because our experience is one that is highly an example of a determined people. When I listened to that Willie Lynch version, I thought about your attitude determines your altitude.
Yes, it does.
As a man thinketh, so is he. So I know there's been a lot of discussion about Willie Lynch, the theory, the concept, the origin of it. But you captured something that I would like for you to share that moment, how you creatively put that feeling and description into the Willie Lynch song that we just heard.
Well, thank you for inviting me here. As a matter of fact, this will be the premiere for introducing this song to the public. I developed the song almost 23 years ago, but this is the first time that it's being heard over the airs, the radio, the television. So the reason that I wrote this song was because on October the 16th, 1995, there was a call made by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to have a 1 million man march, to have 1 million black men show up in Washington, in the Washington Mall, and there we would all make an atonement for all of our misgivings that we had accumulated since the time of coming out of a very dastard kind of existence known as slavery. So on that particular day, men came from all over, black men, from Washington, they were there, and from Atlanta, Georgia, and Arkansas, and New Jersey, Newark, and Alabama, Mississippi. Even some came from Canada. But 1 million men showed up in Washington, something that a lot of soothsayers, so to speak, had said could never happen. But if you looked at the camera and you looked and saw all of the men at that mall, you would give an estimation, and I think there was one given. The news media, of course, gave a smaller number of the men that showed up, but it was decided that there was over 2 million black men that showed up in Washington. A lot of people thought this could never happen because it had been a reputation, and it was propaganda, that 1 million black men could not come together in peace and harmony to do anything. But on that day, over 2 million men showed up. And I remember very vividly what happened that day. It started off, and we all arrived in Washington around 5 in the morning. It was dark. And when I looked at the clouds, they were dark. And I said, well, the weather looked like it was not going to accommodate us. But as the day grew, the clouds began to move away. And from out of the clouds, the beautiful sun came out. And on that day, it was one of the most beautiful days in October that I have ever experienced.
And that's why I really wanted our community to hear the song, as I've heard it from the times you played it for me. Like you said, it's not anything new, but something that you have created over a period of time. And as you're expressing right now, you have captured that true feeling that really moved you on that day of the Million Man March. Now, I just would like to interject this, that Abu here, again, he's a singer, he's a songwriter, he's a playwright as well. And as you can tell in his description of the Willie Lynch song, his creativity to express his feelings, and that's part of the black experience.
Yes,
again,
it is.
when we talk about our community here in the city of Detroit, in the Detroit area, we have to talk about icons like Jackie Wilson, Mr.
Yes.
Excitement, who was able to express the black experience.
Yes.
Some others come to mind that we just can think, and that's part of our conversation today about how do we express our feeling of the black experience. It's good, and we really gain a lot of knowledge when we talk about black history, because we name things and times and situations, but to really share and express the moment that we too experience through our black history struggles, our black history achievements and goals. So as you have done that, and I know you have been working on a play,
Yes.
and you have expressed the same sentiments about your play as you're doing about Willie Lynch.
Yes.
But it just tells me that that's not the end of the story.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's a continuous thing. As long as we are on the face of this earth, we are going to be telling our story. And we have a lot to tell, because there's so much of our story that has been hidden. And many of us don't even have a broader understanding about our story and all of the individuals, all of the black people that have participated in this story. So we are a people that is continuous. I mean, if you think about our history, black history is just given to us in this country for 1 month. But our history, it goes back so far that there haven't been a time period in which they can say is our beginning. There is anthropological and archaeological evidence that we've been here for over millions of years. Although, if you look at the history that is told about us, you will see that they can only go back and acknowledge, at least these are the other people that are talking about us, they only acknowledge a small portion of our history. But we as a people, we must tell our story ourselves. And there is a story that comes from every individual, every man and woman has a story. And there are many stories that can be told. But the Willie Lynch Day is a story that we must tell also, because it was a very unique time in our history when 2 million black men came together. That must be emphasized, because there has never been a time in our history that I can pinpoint when that many black men came together in peace and in harmony. And that's what that day was all about. It was one of the most peaceful days in my life. The police were all there in Washington, and I spoke to some of the police, and they were just elated over the fact that they didn't have to do anything. They were congregating with the people, talking with the people, because everybody was in a mood of pleasantry, and everybody was ready for this particular time. This day was meant to happen. Mm-hmm. It was meant to happen because it disclosed that all of the things that have been said about black people not being able to congregate amongst themselves in large numbers, we had disposed that particular opinion. And we had shown that we can organize and we can come together in peace and harmony.
And the time had arrived.
And the time had arrived. And it was something that we should never let anyone forget about. So Willie Lynch, it's a lot of people wants to know exactly what was Willie Lynch.
All right.
Was he real? Was he a real person? Well, Willie Lynch was supposed to have been a man, a white slave owner. And he was an individual maybe that was real. It could be a pigmentation of one's imagination, a fabrication. But I believe that he was the personification of a scheme of racism, a scheme of racism to divide and conquer. So that's how I look at what Willie Lynch really was. On this day, Willie Lynch got killed because if the Willie Lynch intentions is to divide and conquer, on that day we killed Willie Lynch. And that's why I wrote that song, because if we can do it in one day, we know what the process is necessary in order to eliminate Willie Lynch.
And that is true. I mean, capturing that moment does not escape us, and that we're able to revisit it and gain from it the wisdom, the knowledge, and the power of the moment. And that's something that, and again, I'm going back to express this through the creativity that we have in our community, to express our struggles and our feelings about things that others cannot interpret for us, what we shall interpret for ourselves through the mediums like yours. And again, I go back to our struggles through our music that
Yes.
has clearly defined us in a way that we're able to truly feel the expression. So I'm
Yes.
thinking, as you talk about Willie Lynch, it becomes
Mhm.
more like Fort Lord, a part of our cultural expression. And you know, as we were part of the co-writing of the song Elvin Stone through the Fantastic Four,
Oh, yes.
folklore about
yes.
our struggle and our experience, because our experience is true. And Abu,
Yes.
many would be surprised to know all of your background, you know, and all of us, what makes us up, what makes us to be the people we are today. There's a lot of history to all of us.
Yes, it
We
is.
all can just look back and say how I made it.
Yes.
Because it's a lot of history. When I said Abu,
Yes.
Ronnie Savoy,
Yes.
that contained a lot. Yeah, and I don't know if you want to give a little snippet of
Huh.
all of your history, all of your experience that leads up to what you're talking about today, taking all that God-given gifts and expressing it and making this contribution of communication through music.
Well, I am the product of many people. You see, my father was a musician. My father was a blues guitar player. And my mother was a piano player and a singer. And my father influenced my whole family. And he especially influenced my older brother, Bob Rico,
That's right.
which was responsible for myself getting into the music industry, and my other brother, my younger brother, L. Kent. He was responsible because he sat up under my father and listened to him play. And he began to play the guitar, not as efficient, but it was good enough, because from the way he played with one thumb, he created many songs, many songs. And he even, when he was a producer, he wrote Just Like Romeo and Juliet, which became a big record in the top 10. And he wrote for many different artists. And that particular gift passed on to myself and to my brother. And we began to do the same thing. We began to write songs. And we wrote for many artists, Jackie Wilson, the Four Tops. We wrote for Marv Johnson. We wrote for the Dramatics, the Fantastic Four, one of the songs that a lot of people in Detroit enjoyed, which was somewhat of a rhythm and blues hit and everything. The Whole World is a Stage, and many other songs that we have written for company here in Detroit that was created by another black man. Ed Wingate opened up a studio here in Detroit in Davison, and it was called Rick Records and Golden World Records. And we just came together with a lot of other individuals here in Detroit that were very talented musically, and Popcorn Wiley, and so many other artists and singers that just came to that particular studio and found that there was a place for them to express their talents, and many good things happened. You were there.
Yes, sir.
You were there, and you created your music. So all we have to do is to find that kind of placement that we can display our talents. And that's why the Willie Lynch, it was us coming there displaying our talents. And one of our talents is the ability to work together with one another. That is a skill, and it has always been oppressed that we should not do that, because when we do come together, wonderful things happen. We can almost achieve anything that we want to when we come together. And that's what that Willie Lynch day was. It was a day when we found out that by us coming together in peace and harmony, we can achieve anything. It's not so much what lies behind us, and it's not so much of what lies ahead of us, but the tiny matters. What matters is what we can find within us.
That's correct. That's correct. And that's why, again, I want to thank Expos Under the Sun, Ms. Valerie Lockhart, for giving us this time to try to create for our community just what it is to go through the feelings of expression of our struggles as a black people, as a black community, because we've always survived and we've always strived to do our best, and it is seen in our history. So I'm just proud and thankful for that for today. And again, to anyone out there that is interested in the Willie Lynch song, Abu, how would they get in touch with you, or how would they make that happen?
Well, I'll leave a telephone number in which you can call if you're interested in the record, because it's on our label. It's on the label called Ralu, and you can get in touch with us by calling 313-653-9282 and let us know that you're interested in the record, because it will be promoted and it will be coming out.
All right. Well, again, we want to thank all of you for joining us today for Expo Under the Sun show, and it is brought to you by the Detroit Native newspaper, again, where you can pick it up at any Kroger's store. Again, if you are interested in being a guest here on the exposure, you can reach us through our number here. And what's our number here? They can reach us here at the Expo Under the Sun.
You can reach us at 313-457-5944. That's, again, it's 313-457-5944. We look forward to hearing from you.
What did she say?
And thank you again.
Good, good.
I'm fabulous. Hi, Mommy. Hi, Daddy. I'm fabulous.
Young cat got back, did a little bit. Now we hardy, puffy, tough, do-rag and Tim's. Kinda hard to get a job back out on the block.
Charge that to